When I tell people I'm from Mississippi, the first thing that they say, "Oh, you poor thing." And I look at them and I say, "What are you talking about?" Did I not get the memo?
Straight like a river, songs in our heart. We know in our soul we're the sum of our parts. The dusty road forward, our passage
Welcome.
depends.
I'm Elayne Anthony, and welcome to the very first edition of Clear Lenz. We hope that you will enjoy our segment. I am so happy to have with me for the very first edition of Clear Lenz my friend, my everything in terms of music, Miss Cassandra Wilson. We actually grew up together in Georgetown, right here in Jackson, Mississippi. Welcome to Clear Lenz.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, Dr. Anthony.
Listening.
Can I call you Elayne?
Yes. Or rather, Laney, as you normally do. Well, what we want to do is just to kind of know that jazz is something that we love here in the state of Mississippi. Jackson State has the only jazz station in the state of Mississippi. And we want to talk about your career and how you have evolved. But we can't do that unless we talk about this Grammy that you won. Okay. Tell us about that.
The first Grammy I won was for a project called New Moon Daughter, which I've received in, let me get the year correct, 1996. And it was the second release on Blue Note, which was, that was after 1993. I did a project called Blue Light Till Dawn. Now, what's interesting about this music and this Grammy was it was a new direction in jazz. No one had ever tried to do something like this. I was combining the blues with jazz, with the music of Appalachia, with a little bit of rock, which is what we do here in Jackson. We are at the crossroads of the South. And so this is the music that I grew up listening to. But no one had ever tried to bring all of these influences together in one big pie.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that, because you come from a family of musicians. Yeah. Your dad was a musician. Tell us how Mr. Fowkes actually influenced you and your love for music and jazz music as well.
Well, I cannot describe the wonder that was in the home that I grew up in. It was really beautiful music that we always listened to. My father, of course, was a jazz musician, and there were quite a large community of jazz musicians back in the day, in the 50s and the 60s, that I recall. And they had, they had a way of gathering at different homes, and they would have performances across the river, over in Pearl.
Over in Pearl.
Yeah,
yes,
over in
indeed.
Pearl. They would play the music over there. But I also was deeply influenced by my mother, because my mother remembered all of these rhythms. She was a great influence on me as well.
On us.
On us. Lyrics, learning songs. As you remember, in elementary school, we had to learn how to play instruments. Back then, the teachers had to teach everything. And so there was a portion of their day that was set aside for music. And so my mother was very much involved in teaching music to her students as well as at home.
Yes, and then she was involved in it and knew how to do it in so many musical instruments. She really got you excited. I'm one of her former students. So she got you excited about music. And
Yes.
that's the love for music. And you have to get that very young in order for it to expand and to grow up in individuals.
It is important. I think it's such a tragedy that the programs have been cut from our public schools. We don't have the same kind of funding for music education in the schools anymore. And that really, I think it shines a light inside of a young person's spirit. If you don't have that for children, they can go astray. Music is very important. Music, poetry, all of the arts. Very important.
It's very, very important, and it means a lot. And when you can offer music and the arts, and in some cases athletics, it gives children something fun to strive toward. And then if you knew, like your mother and my mother, how to intertwine that into academics, it makes a big difference.
You're right. That was their brilliance, wasn't it?
It really was.
They could do that.
They could really get you all excited about this and that, and then before you know it, you're into academics, but you're still doing something you like to do.
Yeah. Everything was tied together, I think, as I recall. Everything, the whole day, weaved all of this history, learning English, learning how to spell, learning how to write, learning math, learning music, then going to church on Sunday.
Oh yeah. After they did all of that,
They
then you
did
were
that.
the first ones there at church on Sunday. And it made quite a nice, neat basket of talents for children back in that era. I think it may even be missed now.
I agree.
I mean, our kids are not really getting that package of things.
No, they're not. Our communities have changed so much from when we were growing up. We grew up in Georgetown, which was a beautiful neighborhood.
It was.
Now, things have changed a bit. But Georgetown, Shady Oak, Verdant Addition, what are the other neighborhoods? Of course, the Subdivision 1, Subdivision
and
2. And
Presidential Hill.
Presidential Hills. All of these neighborhoods have that thing in common, a history. And most people don't really know the history of our neighborhoods. They started off in Shady Oak and in Georgetown with educators. And educators living with doctors, lawyers, craftsmen, people who drove trucks. Everybody was living in the same neighborhood.
And we all, went to church together. The families knew each other.
Yes.
And so, and I can remember my dad had a business right in the middle of Georgetown. And he was the first African-American male to own his own Shell oil distributorship.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you did. You didn't know that.
I knew that.
Yes, and that was a big deal. He always wanted to be in business for himself. He never wanted to work for anybody
Now,
else.
wait a second. It's not the Shell station that used to be on
Whitfield Mill Road.
That's the station that Daddy always went to.
I know.
What? And that's why I still go to Shell stations to this
Today,
day.
I do too, because of that. It was called Hayes Shell. Wow. Isn't that something? Yes, indeed. So this is history in and of itself that a lot of people that are living right here in Jackson, Mississippi, don't know. And it was quite different back in that day. And I didn't know I was doing marketing for the station. I had him to get me a little girl's Shell outfit like
Oh,
his.
what? Really?
Yeah. And then I had the hat, I had the whole 9 yards going. And I would go out and talk to the people and ask them what they wanted and how could we. And a lot of people were actually coming to the station to see the little girl with the pigtail. And I had no idea what marketing was at that time.
But you were doing it.
But I was doing marketing. Yeah, he got a lot of business. In fact, I told him, I said, Daddy, you need to increase my allowance. I'm bringing some business in here.
Well, I know that was the only gas station we ever went to.
That's what it was. And it was in the middle of Georgetown.
It was in the middle of Georgetown.
I would ride my bike down to the station, and I thought I was alone. But every house that we passed, there were no cell phones or anything. They were, well, she just passed. And then they
were watching.
They were watching.
Yes.
They were watching, and it was his best friend would be sitting on the porch when he got off work. I would stop there and chit chat with him. That was like my second dad, because that was his best friend. And then as soon as he said, well, all right, he said, your dad's waiting on you, I bet. Then he got up, John, she's coming your way.
Oh, my goodness.
And so I'm talking, and we talk about it as a village, but we really had a village. I thought I was doing something alone, and I wasn't. I had that whole village trailing me until I got to him.
That's the way I remember it. And, I don't remember worrying about what the other people were doing.
No.
No offense, but I don't remember even thinking about them. There was a man who lived down the street on Lavernette Road, Mr. Pittman.
Yes.
But I always thought he was light skinned. I didn't know.
You didn't know that Mr. Pittman was.
I didn't know.
Cassandra, you didn't know Mr.
No,
Pittman.
I didn't know
He was so kind to us. So
He
we
fit
didn't
in
know.
the neighborhood just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So I didn't think anything about
And
it.
he was good to children, so we all loved
Oh,
him.
I always got some candy from him.
He would. If you came by and said, here's some candy.
So I didn't think about that. It was not, when I travel around the world, and I have done some traveling, when I tell people I'm from Mississippi, the first thing that they say, or they intimate, is that, oh, you poor thing. And I look at them and I say, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Did I not get the memo? I know that there were some horrible things that happened.
Oh, yeah, we know that from history. But it really, if you really think about it, our parents shielded us from that.
That's what I want to
And
say.
they did a really, really good job.
Didn't they?
They really did.
I don't even remember. I remember vaguely the different signs, for colored and for white.
I do too.
But just vaguely, because my parents would not allow us to go somewhere where they had the signs. So if we were on the highway and we had to stop somewhere, you had to, we would just be out in the wild. and I never thought anything about it. And also, when we had to go and shop, we did all our shopping on Ferry Street.
No, that's right. That's right.
And if we had to go to Capitol, there were a few shops that we could go in that I recall. Do you remember that? There were a few shops that we could actually go in.
Parisian. We could go in that, and then we got to go in Emporium.
That's right.
That's right.
You remember Peter France?
And Peter France. We went all in those places because our moms
That's
shopped
where
there.
they shop.
So I just thought nothing of it. I'm supposed to be in Emporium.
Do you remember that though?
I do.
So there's this balance that I had in my life growing up that I remember most of the great things.
Me too. And it was because that's what they wanted us to remember. There were some other things that I know were on the horizon, but they put the great things out there for us to remember. I can remember going to the doctor, and I was sick, and Daddy went through the front door. And I didn't think anything about it. Oh, well, we're going to the doctor. And he never went through that back door. But I was really, really sick. And he wanted some attention, like, immediately. And I can remember my mom touching him, John. He said, what is it? She said, nothing. And so I just went on through the front door.
You can't stop him.
No, not when the little one was ill. So we've got great stories, but yours is just wonderful. I mean, when I think about a little girl from Georgetown, right here in Jackson, winning a Grammy Award, or I should say awards,
Yeah,
it makes it. There were a couple. Yeah, it really kind of. Which one of your songs really meant more to you, in terms of when you start thinking about your song?
Wow, that's hard. It's hard because they're all like my children.
Yeah.
I can't pick out one as a favorite. I've been very fortunate for it to come through me, and that's the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a great blessing to have had the experience of being able to create music that people embraced.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't pick one.
Can't pick one.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we were so proud that you were a part of our community when that was going on. And now to have you back in the community is a true blessing.
Thank you.
How do you feel about being back home?
I have mixed feelings. I'm glad to be back with my sister. I'm glad
I'm glad that you're here.
That's a blessing for us to reconnect and
Yes.
have the close ties that we have. But we've always had close
We've
ties.
always had that.
It never ended.
Our mothers made sure of that.
Yes. It's good to be back in the, home ground. And I'm still traveling quite a bit, but this has always been home base for me. That's what people don't realize is that they think I went off to some other, and I did live in New York and I've lived in New York City. But I always came back home because I had to check on my people and I have an attachment to the land.
Oh, wonderful.
An attachment to the community that I could never give up on because it made me who I am.
Definitely. Now, you're at a point, because we were chit-chatting earlier, and I think we were both talking about this next chapter. What do you see in your next chapter in terms of what you want to do? You've already accomplished so much. But is there anything else that you would actually like to do?
I would like to clean up Jackson. I'm really upset about all the problems that we're having here. And if there's any way that I can be a part of the resurrection, then I think that that's what we're due for here in Jackson. We need to bring it back to life. So I'd like to be a part of that.
Well, we knew it when it was. And when you think back, when it was just the light of our worlds,
Yes.
it may need definitely some resurrection.
Yeah, let's do it. Shall we?
We shall. Well, that is wonderful. Well, when I think about what you've done and how you've matriculated and how proud your folks were of you and all the kinds of things you were able to accomplish, it makes me very proud too.
Well, I'm proud of you. Y'all don't know, but she was my teacher. And my mother was her teacher. So this is all a part of a big family, a cycle.
It really, really is. So, and in high school when I did student teaching, you were also my student.
Really?
Remember? Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Murrah High School. See, I didn't know I was going into broadcasting, so my mother was an educator, and she said, if that's what you want to do, fine, but we're going to go get some credentials in teaching, speech, and English.
Really?
So if that doesn't work out, we have something else. And you were in the class. And then when I
high
saw
school
you
was
again,
a blur for me. College, I remember. But
yeah, and then when I came over to Jackson State, and your mom told me, said, well, she's in that mass communication department. I said, well, that's the department I'm going to go work in. And then we got together again over at JSU.
there are lessons from your class that I still remember to this day.
Oh,
And I still repeat in my mind from that class. It was a powerful class. You and Dr. Evans.
yes.
I remember
yes.
I remember y'all, and of course I remember Dolly Robinson because I did,
You did the music.
I did the
thing.
music as as backup, but my main courses in mass communications, you. You.
Well, that's a wonderful thing to hear. And when I can hear that from students, it makes me feel like I'm letting the work I've done speak for me.
Yes.
And that means a whole lot. But anyway, we want you to stay here and write that next chapter, whatever it is. We want you to do that right here.
Can I get
in
an
Jackson.
office?
Sure. You just pick out one here. There's some on the back end.
Because I love this building. It's fabulous.
Well, thank you.
The East Center, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
We love it out here too.
Yeah.
So, what we want you to do is continue what you're doing, but just do more of it. Let more come. And it's still in there. It is.
Okay.
It is.
All right.
Cassandra Wilson, we love you. We love your work. And we're proud of you and glad that you are a Jacksonian. And more importantly, from Georgetown.
Thank you.
There we go.
Forward, our passage depends on seeing our home